How's it going, everybody? DJ K DuB Omaha, Wired Access Podcast with the All Axcess Granted.
I didn't want that to be the standard. I didn't want someone else in the room to set the standard. I always wanted to do that.
The journey to get there, I think, is something, that is amazing.
Let's get this podcast started.
Let's go. It is Wednesday night, Wired Access, All Axcess Granted, where I'm your host, DJ K DuB Omaha, where we are bringing you athletes across the Nebraska area. And the blessing is, of course, the StreamYard, where we're able to have these conversations because athlete schedules are something that are not easy to get lined up. But when you do, you take advantage of it. Once again, I greatly appreciate those who are tuning in live here on Wednesday nights. But today we have a new committed Nebraska prep from Millard North, Tanner Evans. He is committed to Air Force. I'll give a little shout out for that. We greatly appreciate you joining the episode. But for me, it's another complete circle. I did one just yesterday that will air next Wednesday on Wired Access Podcast, where I got to interview Bubba Day. And of course, Tanner has worked with Bubba Day, and I talked to his dad when he made the decision to come to Scott. But with Tanner, I got to talk to his dad about his baseball bats and his inspiration to kind of change, a lot of the future for him and his family. And then, of course, Tanner was a very important part of it. But what I think that Tanner doesn't know about me and knowing Tanner from the outside looking in is I've seen this kid grow up since he was like 8, maybe earlier. I don't know the age range, but he doesn't know that. It was when Nick Riggs, who was also part of our episode, he played with my son, and then he went off to the Millard Elite, and you guys were a part of that, and we heard nothing but great things of you and your dad and your family coming up. Shout out to the Riggs, who always have nothing but great things to say about the Evans and how important your dad was, not only to your own production, but also the kids that he was over, and Nick's one of them, who is now at UNO, and we've shared his story on here. And then if you go from that, there was the ups and downs of going from elite to Tigers, and not everybody gets that experience when it comes to the travel ball. Some stick out with one team. Things happen, and what your dad did for you, I think, is just kept the dream alive by finding opportunities. And that's what I love about what we get to do here is we get to talk about those opportunities. We get to tell kids that might be kind of going through their own stuff where they're like, man, do I choose a Division I? Do I choose Division II, JUCO? Like, every kid is different. So don't ever compare yourself to any of the athletes that we're talking to, but just get a little bit from them. Tanner, you go to Millard North. You guys had a great season this last year. First of all, let's just talk about your travel ball and what you kind of remember when you got going with. Was it the Millard Elite that you remember all the way back to, or was it the Omaha Tigers?
Yeah, it started Millard Elite. I think my dad pushing me to go and play up when I was 8 years old really helped me out in the long run. Just being like the smaller kid and then like having to compete with all the big dudes. But yeah, I think Millard Elite got me going, and then Tigers, Tyler Reggio and Zach really helped me out along the way. And then obviously my dad once I got older. But yeah.
And of course, you brought a great instance where like you can learn from multiple people from different areas. And when you start with the Millard Elite and you move to the Omaha Tigers, you guys kept winning the winning tradition and playing up. And I think there's so much talk about players reclassifying than there are about the players that play up like yourself. Mm-hmm. What do you remember about playing up, or even the idea, as far as you can remember, that idea of, okay, I guess I'll play these older kids and feeling like you could be a part of something special?
Yeah, I was small even for my grade. I was probably one of the smallest in my class, in my grade, but then playing up against an older grade was kind of, completely different. It really made me really focus on my skill set and having to compete more with my skills instead of my size.
So then you get, of course, from the Millard Elite, you guys, I could be wrong, but you probably won the championship, I think, in your guys'
9U, yep.
Yep,
8U, we lost in the semifinals, I think.
but 9U, you guys pull it out. You move over to the
Yep.
Omaha Tigers. What would you say that you remember about opportunity at facilities back then at a young age? Because, of course, you go from Millard Elite to the Tigers. The Tigers have their UBA facility where
Mhm.
more of opportunity and more of a ability to have the chance to go practice when you want to go practice.
Yeah, I mean, it was really nice. I think me and my dad used to go up there about every night and go hit. But then having all the coaches there and just having the opportunity to be inside even when it's cold and still get my work in.
What do you think was the easiest for you to adjust playing against the older age, and what do you think was the one thing that you wish you did better when it came to the playing against the older age for yourself?
I think I did a pretty good job of more focusing on playing hard because, I mean, I had to play harder than everybody else being so small. But, I mean, I feel like I could have done a little bit better job of maybe learning from the older kids. And I don't know. But yeah.
No, that's a good idea. I mean, just thinking. I mean, I always say it. I mean, even for my own son, that 1 year makes a difference. No matter
Yeah.
what anybody says, like, and don't get me wrong, because school wise, it wouldn't have been a great option to hold back, right?
Hmm.
Because it wasn't because of school. It's not because of school that you have to reclassify. It's because maturity,
Yeah.
growth between 17 and 18 is a monster difference. And then it could lead to possible more opportunities. So when do you remember starting to go at your own age? Was it all the way until you were a freshman in high school?
It was all the way until
Or
14U.
14U?
I played. Yeah, I played with the 25 class 14U, and then I played 14U again with Ziola on the Tigers.
And you brought up an athlete that we've had on this show, and it has been a great example to other athletes in the area. What do you remember about an 8th grade Ziola that would tell people differently than a senior last year Ziola and now a future Husker?
Yeah, I mean, he's always been a guy that just goes and hits bombs, I'm not gonna lie. So, I mean, not a lot has changed. He's been a great player since he's been, I don't know, really young, but especially 14U. So, yeah.
So you get to do your travel ball. As a young kid, what is the most important thing to you when it comes to this travel ball that you remember? Is it the wins and losses? Yeah, championships are great, but there's got to be more to it that you remember and just the time that you had.
Yeah, I mean, going and traveling all across the country with my friends, getting to play against the best every single weekend. I mean, I think we played probably like 4 top 10 travel ball teams this summer. So, and getting to play a bunch, like just the absolute best in the country. And then obviously getting to showcase everything to all the college coaches and scouts and attendance. So, yeah.
Of course, you go from playing 2 back-to-back 8th grade years, 14U in the major leagues or the trip, or what was it? Elite. What's the
Yeah,
highest?
like major division. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get 2 of those, you go into freshman year. What do you think and look at as going to be your biggest change that you would have to do when you went from doing travel ball where everybody on that team is looking
Hmm.
to play baseball compared to sometimes at school, some kids are just there to play ball. They're not really looking for that future or that college opportunity. How do you adapt to it? What do you remember your first freshman season for you?
Yeah, my freshman year, I think I remember just trying to work as hard in the weight room as I possibly could. I mean, it was a little bit hard playing basketball still, but I remember just going up in the mornings before school, and then we had basketball practice after. So the main focus going into freshman year was just getting stronger.
So, of course, you get into your freshman year, you're looking to go stronger. Like you said, you're still playing basketball. I remember seeing you down at state a
Hmm.
couple times these past couple years. What made you change and decide that basketball was just not the opportunity for you? I think kids at different ages, it happens, but you go, I either want to go all out and be able to be the best Tanner Evans that I could be at one sport, or I could continue this 2 sport, but I'm also possibly missing a game, missing a practice, just not making it what it is that I can be. What do you remember about that decision for you?
Yeah, I think what really made me make my mind up was just getting the attention that I got from baseball after my freshman year. And then also realizing that, I mean, I'm not 6'5", and I probably don't have a future in basketball. So,
Come
yeah.
on, man. Spud Webb's around, man. He
I
played.
mean, I could shoot it, but just wasn't tall enough. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't run in the family, and you knew that growing up. And
yeah.
you of course also start in this meantime, you and your dad start working on a baseball bat. How do you coincide what you guys are thinking together on a baseball bat, but also you're just trying to be a kid, but it's also
Yeah.
something that not every kid gets to be a part of the future, right? The
hmm
future of the game. And that's the one thing that I could say about, if you guys have ever seen Soldier Sports, or they're always looking to integrate and be better year over year over year with every product that they do. And the tank bats is the one episode that we did with his dad. And then what was that for you? When do you remember all that stuff kind of come together? And what was the thoughts as a young kid trying to think of making a bat and wanting to do that part?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great experience so far, but all I remember is I think me and my dad were just sitting on the couch, and he was like, "What if we made a baseball bat?" And I mean, that just sparked a bunch of thoughts, and I think he called his manufacturer and just started getting to work. And I mean, there's been probably over like 30 versions of the bat that we've had to test and say that they aren't good enough or whatever. So, I mean, yeah, it's been a really cool experience so far, but I mean, obviously we're not the best yet, so got to keep working, make the best bat possible.
And you did a great thing of saying that. I mean, this is a solo company here in Omaha. It's not like it's this big national brand, not yet. As far as with the
hmm
baseball bats, it's something that's constantly growing. I mean, for heaven's sake, I got willed and dealed into delivering tank baseball bats over to Jamaica, no, Bahamas,
Oh yeah, that
the
you did
home
that.
run tournament. Yeah, that was like the weirdest but funnest 48 hours
Yeah.
I've ever had. I mean, I got to the Bahamas quickly and I got out of Bahamas, but I got to meet so many players that I just like. I had to look them up because baseball is a sport where you can know most of the people, but to know them like you do a basketball or football is totally different because there's so many levels. There's so many athletes that are doing it that the numbers outweigh the knowledge. I mean, I had to kind of look it up. Now, of course, I went over there and met with some of the top content creators, and they were cool, and they let me kind of just hang out and be and just see it from the backside, like see them take these bats to kids that are not so fortunate. That was one thing that was
hmm
cool. Second thing, they hit home runs. They call it home runs in paradise, and they hit the home runs into the water. But you see all these people get together, and the tank bat is a part of the production. And I think, to me, on the outside looking in, just knowing that, one, I was able to help make it happen, but two, this is a subpar product that of what you guys are coming together, and you're trying to get it out there in ways to connect to people. And I think the fact that you guys are giving back to these kids that are less fortunate, I think some people don't understand. It takes a real different side of you to be able to do that, and that was an honor to do it for you and your family. But you start building the bat, but you're also growing in your sport. What's kind of the first thing that you start really thinking, this is what I want to do and this is my future, and you start changing? You already talked about kind of some of your gym time and stuff like that, but what was the conversation? Was it with dad? Was it with coaches? Who was kind of the first one to talk that in with you?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I was little, I think I started playing baseball like 2 years old, but ever since I've been little, I mean, baseball has just been my love, and I've always wanted to get as good as I possibly can, and I mean, just having all the opportunities to get better and go as far as I can with baseball is, I mean, that's the ultimate dream. So,
So, of course, you get through your freshman year, you start getting looks. What does that feel like for you to know that you've put the time in and people are recognizing it? Because it doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes you'll go years upon years. I mean, we've had Connor Capisci say he went to one of those perfect games and there's 500 coaches and not one talked to him. Like,
Yeah.
just imagine that. Like, you've put all this time and here you go. So you get people to start talking about Tanner Evans beyond high school. How does that go for you? And what do you remember about the first talks?
Yeah, I mean, I was super lucky just to have a really good summer my freshman year. And I think that really helped me start to get going. But then, of course, it was the college rule where you can't talk to anybody until after your junior or August 1st of your junior year. So, I mean, I feel like that kind of held me back a little bit, maybe, where I couldn't talk to any college coaches at that first 2 summers. But yeah, I mean, this summer it kind of worked out perfectly. So, and I'm glad that it happened.
And of course, you get through that first summer. Talk about the difference between the travel ball of the youth and your travel ball when it comes to your freshman season and all that. What's some of the things that you noticed that started to change and the atmosphere? Maybe it was the places, maybe it was just the fact of things start looking more real. And I mean, that these kids are all on the same drive, the same goal. So it's not like, just someone saying, "Hey, I want my kid to play." These are all people that are looking to make that opportunity happen.
Yeah, I think it kind of once high school gets going, I think it kind of separates itself where in travel ball in like during high school, I mean there's just dudes everywhere. So you kind of have to like rise up to the competition and compete every day. So and it's more like youth travel ball is kind of more just like for fun, but then high school you kind of have to like let's go. We got to compete now. So yeah.
So you get to do that your freshman year, you get into your sophomore season. What was the biggest change that happened for Tanner that you really took a hold of your sophomore season that you learned from your freshman season?
Yeah, I think I realized that I could compete with anybody. It was just I was still like I grew in height a little bit, but I was still a lot smaller than everybody. And I mean, I feel like that's kind of the theme throughout my high school career has been, I mean, I just need to get bigger and because I'm still just undersized, but I mean, I believe that my skill set, I can compete with anybody, but I think the main focus is just getting bigger and stronger for me.
What's some of the programs that you started working outside of the school stuff and extra that I think some people don't always take those opportunities? What was some of the things that you've been working on, whether it's companies, whether it's programs, that has kind of helped Tanner become who he is today?
Yeah, loyalty. I started getting going last winter, and I mean that's just been huge for me. Getting with Quentin and Logan, I mean they're great. They know what they're talking about. All their strength programs, their speed programs, and not only just getting stronger from them and gaining weight, but also getting faster while doing it has been huge for me.
How has this also helped and changed your confidence? Of course, you've played with a confidence and a little swagger your whole life. You said it well before. You've had to, right? In order
Mhm.
to be who you are and be the smaller guy who's got to play up. How do you continue to find that confidence and how is finding a program like loyalty just take it to another notch for you?
Yeah, when I'm playing, I always say that I just need to trust the work that I put in. And I mean, hitting, fielding, whatever it is. But then loyalty, I mean, has really helped me get that confidence just by knowing that I'm getting stronger and I'm doing all that I can to get better.
What do you feel your atmosphere on the team was and did change from your freshman to sophomore year? How did the growth go there? Because and we'll first talk about just your school team and then we'll talk about your travel team. How do you feel like your growth has been roller coastered through those two teams?
Yeah, I mean, I had a rough experience my sophomore year. I'm not gonna lie, but getting over to Millard North sophomore year, getting in with Coach Levac has been great, and yeah,
You said a tough thing. You don't have to talk about it, but how do you overcome something that could because it could possibly make it where you don't want to play the game no more, right? Like it was
mm-hmm.
the wrong scenario, wrong situation. no names, no nothing, but just on that factor, how did you overcome that and be able to see that there is light on the other side? Because I think that's always the number one message that I always like to share, because people think, okay, this is now a D1 athlete. He's someone that's already committed. Oh, he ain't had no struggles or no nothing, but they don't realize that there's one moment in everybody's life when it comes to these sports where at one moment you could say, I'm done.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
you
I
have to
would
look in
say,
that mirror, right? You gotta look in
yeah,
that mirror and be the guy to say that, and I think that's just hard to hear.
yeah, it was definitely a big bump in the road. I mean, I thought I was going there just to like I thought I would finish my high school career though there, and I wanted to stay. But I mean, I think God really showed me that I was meant to be at Millard North when I switched. And I mean, I wasn't happy about it at first, but I think now I really realized that like God wanted me to be at Millard North, and all the opportunities he's provided, all the people I've met, getting with Coach Lavak. I mean, it's been great, and just setting myself up for success at Miller North. Obviously, going on a big run in state last year, and hopefully
Going
going
under
on a
the
big
radar.
run this
I mean,
year.
people
So
people people didn't expect that from you, and I think when you're able to be a surprise up comer, you're able to have fun with it, right? The pressure's not there. But now, of course, you're going into this season. It just adds a little bit more to it. But
mhm.
you get through that first season with Millard North. What was your biggest game this last year with them? What was the biggest thing for Tanner? And then what did you impact their team? How did you help Millard North be a little better team? Because every teammate's important.
Yeah, I would say defensively, I was pretty good this spring, and then adding to it with the at in the start of the season, I was pretty hot, and then in the middle, I got hot, and then obviously I got hurt. But I mean, but getting back and coming, the highlight of the year was obviously district championship, hitting the walk off. I mean, that was pretty sweet, and just going on the big run in state was one of the funnest times of my life.
So of course, with all your travel ball, you've also had a lot of social media presence where people are constantly recording. How does that change your game and how do you adjust to it? Because some people, that's a limelight that can be too much, right? It can be like, how many views did I get? Or you can just let everything just continue to post, continue to go, and you just continue just to show up day in, day out.
Yeah, I would say I don't really worry about that too much when I'm playing. I mean, obviously it's fun to look at after all your highlights and stuff, but I mean, during the game, I don't really focus on it too much. I just kind of lock in on the game.
Of course, you do some perfect game stuff and you start working, with the specs as well. What is the biggest thing that you've gained from just those opportunities and being on a stage where you're against some of the best in the country? Yes, you got to play some teams, but it's also like when you're going to these PG, these perfect games, these are just throw together teams. It's not like you were able to go, okay, I want Jace as my pitcher. I got this guy. You're not there to pick anybody. You're just, here's your team. Let's go see what you can do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really helped with the exposure part of it and getting to see like what's all out there, who's like all the best players in the country, getting to like see myself compete against them and see what I need to get better at. And I mean, this summer I got to go to the PG National Showcase, and that was just an eye opener for me about just like all the talent in the country. And I mean, getting to compete with all those people there was amazing.
What did you do to keep yourself confident and composure in those type of moments? And who was there to kind of help you even maybe guide through some of that? Because it is a whole nother level, right? It's not something that you can experience at 12, at 13. These are the high schools closest to college and closest to the level that you want to be at.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't really know anybody there going in, so I don't know that. I mean, I didn't really worry about that too much, but getting to just compete with everybody was amazing, and getting to show, I mean, what I have worked for my whole life. So,
What do you remember about the first time walking into a Perfect Games stadium and just the day? What do you remember about that day?
I think I was like 13 almost. I was probably about 4 foot and 90 pounds, and I was super scared, I'm not gonna lie. But I mean, it was a great experience. I learned a lot from it, and yeah.
You of course start doing some travel ball with the Specs. What is travel ball for them? How could you explain it so others understand how one, it gets you visually seen because you're in front of some of the best areas, but also it gets you on the understanding of everybody here is on that same goal. I'm gonna look for this opportunity and take it and grab it by the horns.
Yeah, a lot of the games there's a good amount of college coaches there, and then obviously the perfect game scouts are always there, writing you up, posting your hits or whatever, and just looking at you that way. And I think honestly that helps a lot too with recruiting, and just getting like all the Twitter stuff out there and getting seen by all these college coaches, and then maybe they see your Twitter post and then they come see you the next day, and it kind of just works like that. And then having your coaches in contact with all the college coaches that are in town and maybe are interested in coming to watch you play.
So of course you're talking about a lot of the recruiting side, and when you think of recruiting, what all did you know prior that you know prior to getting to where you are today, and what's something you wish you knew about recruiting that you now know and you want to share with others so they understand the importance of it?
Yeah, I would say a lot of social media really helped me out. Just getting my Twitter, like all my highlights, all my like numbers and everything out there on Twitter for everybody to see, and just having that billboard for myself, being able to showcase myself that way.
No, that's always good, and it's always the best thing is them constantly see those numbers change, right? They want to see the growth. So it's not just about posting it, but they want to see the continuous movement of it, right? If you
Yep.
constantly were only hitting high twos and they're not seeing growth, and they know that it's a roller coaster, right? They're not stupid. They know that it's going to go up, go down, go up. But as long as you're showing some consistency in the game, how did you find consistency to stay even kill through the whole moment of those stressful times? And I say it because baseball is unforgiving. It is very unforgiving. How did you constantly find yourself and reposition yourself if you had a bad time to get back to who you are and what you'd love to do?
There was definitely a lot of ups and downs, but I would say just trusting that I put in the work. And I mean, this is like what I worked for my whole life. So just trusting that and trusting God, and just knowing that He's going to make everything work out. Everything happens for a reason. And yeah.
You go through your recruiting process. What was that like from start to where you are today? Was there coaches that you were hoping would reach out that didn't? Was there coaches that you were in contact? How did it all go for you? And how did you even get to Air Force?
Yeah, so my recruiting process took a lot longer than a lot of other people's did. Obviously, starting last August 1st, I've talked to quite a few college coaches, but I think really once Air Force reached out, I really just knew like that was the place that I wanted to be. And just going on my visit, seeing all the most elite people there are, like all the fighter pilots, all these people that, like, I don't know, they're just elite people, and just the way they talk and everything. And then obviously the baseball side of it is pretty amazing. I mean, they go and compete with the best. They're not scared to play anybody. They just get themselves out there, and I mean, they compete in a pretty good conference. So, I mean, it's a great opportunity once I found out about it.
Did you do any other visits prior to Air Force?
Yeah, I went on a couple, but
What was the things
obviously,
that you noticed from those couple? No names needed. Like I'm never here to talk bad about them, right? But I want
mhm.
people to kind of just understand some of the good sides and some of the things that you got to be watching for yourself, because no matter what, the only education and the only future that matters for you is Tanner Evans. No matter what the coach says, no matter what anybody says. And I
I
say
think,
this
oh yeah.
No, go ahead, because it's one of those that I think some people can get caught up in the schmoozing,
Hmm.
I think we're gonna give you all this stuff compared to reality of what you're gonna get.
Yeah, I think going to Air Force, they really just separated themselves with, like I said, the people there. They're just like, there's no like, I don't know, like people just don't go out and like party every night and all that. It's like you have to be locked in on your schoolwork. You have to be locked in on the baseball field, and it's more just like serious going about your business. And I mean, I think it's just really, it's going to be really good for me getting to be around some of the best people, most elite people there are.
Well, and I like that you said that. Of course, on our show, we've back when I was on the radio, we had Emilio Martinez, who was a wrestler out of Central, who got to go wrestle up for Army. And then we have shared a local boxing journey of Jeremiah Perales. He was one of my former football players when I coached at Omaha South, and his dad owns a boxing center down in South Omaha, Victory Boxing, and he boxes for the Army. And so for me, it was that complete circle to not only share that these people get to do the games that they love and the sports that they love, but then they're serving the country. And I think those are the things that sometimes get undershadowed, undermined. No matter any of your political beliefs, whatever, that's for you and only you, not you personally, just anybody that's listening.
Hmm.
But for someone to take a journey and go, hey, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to not only get to play the game that I love, but I'm also going to have an opportunity to serve. Or how was that for you? And kind of where did that ambition come for Tanner Evans to join Air Force? And what's kind of your goals? Obviously, you'll get to play baseball, but you might also have other obligations you have to do.
Yeah, going into it, I was a little questionable about the military side, I would say. But I mean, getting to go on my visit and just seeing all the people, like like it's not what I expected at all. They're normal dudes that just go out there and want to be a part of something bigger and serve our country and serve the people.
Now,
And
has
then
has military been in your family? Has that something that you've kind of experienced? I'm a military brat, so I always like to ask and kind of find the history of maybe something that might have sparked this a little bit more for you because you saw what you saw.
yeah, my grandma and my grandpa served in the military. But other than that, I mean, not really. Just going and seeing it was really just an eye opener for me.
What was that recruiting trip? What's the first thing you remember? Just even because it is in Colorado, right? Is where you're
Hmm.
going. So
Yep.
one, you got the beautiful mountains everywhere. But what man, I still remember every day when I drive by the football stadium, like just the view from the interstate is crazy. You
Hmm.
know, you see this
Yeah.
big field. And of course, I shared it even on your flyer for this episode where like that field has nothing but beautiful. Now, don't get me wrong, the front side is dirt and sand and the realness of the outside of Colorado, but the backside is what it is. It's the mountains. Like, what do
Hmm.
you remember about your first time headed out there and kind of seeing just the atmosphere as a environment?
Yeah, my first impression was just how beautiful it was. Like being up in the mountains, being like the campus is almost like on the foothills of the mountain. So I mean, that was pretty sweet to see. And yeah, I mean, just having the mountains in the background is just beautiful.
You, of course, have played at many different places. What's a similar place for you that you've been able to play that will kind of give you that home feeling of where Air Force plays? Has there been any places that you've been able to play, whether it's Perfect Games, Tigers, Elite, any of those?
I think the closest place to that I've played in was at Chase Field for the Perfect Game National Showcase, but I haven't really played up in the mountains that much.
So, you, of course, with the mountains, was there anything that they kind of talked to you about playing up in there and kind of some adjustments? Because, of course, you're at a different elevation, the ball will travel different. There's some things that you've got to know on the game side. Is there anything that they kind of prepped you about?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the ball flies there, but then the field is like positioned so that the wind blows straight out to right field. And obviously, being a lefty, I mean, that was huge for me too. So
Little
getting,
icing on the
I don't
cake.
hit a lot of bombs right now, but hopefully when I get there, I mean, the elevation, the wind helped me out a little bit. So
Of course, there's a lot of local athletes who are getting these opportunities, whether it's Cam at Arkansas, you've seen Kel Fountain, go from Florida State, LSU, and then obviously MLB. You've seen a lot of these athletes just ahead of you. How has that helped push you to be who you are? And I mean it in the best of ways. I think iron sharpens iron when you see that there can be an opportunity because of other people that have taken that opportunity ahead of you. How has that helped you, or has it guided you on that factor?
yeah, I think Cam and Tyson Lewis have been really big inspirations. Just, I mean, seeing them, what they did in high school, and then getting to do all the Trosky stuff with them was really cool for me. And just getting to see like where they're at now and where they started at in high school. And I mean, just trying to make it like they did. So,
Well, you brought up the Trotsky experiment. What is that, and how does it even come about for athletes?
yeah, so I started out going to a camp when I was probably about 12 years old in Kansas City. And I mean, that really just opened my eyes to like how like the different levels of baseball and just like the mental side of it that he talks about is huge. And I mean, obviously the infield stuff is great too, but I think the mental side is really where he separates himself from other baseball and infield instructors.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up because, of course, we've had just the past couple interviews where we had the max out mindset, which is all about mental, where he deals with nothing but elite athletes.
Hmm.
And you obviously have brought it up here. We've had a life coach last week. Having these little things in your toolbox. How have you adjusted and been like, okay, I need that, and decided what you need and what you don't need? Because I think sometimes you could be stimulated, sorry, between all of the things. You got so and so saying this, so and so saying that, but you're kind of finding your way. And I think it's like anybody that gets a real job, right? You're gonna take a little piece of this one, take a little piece of this one, take a little piece of that one. But no matter what, it is still Tanner Evans just incorporating all the toolbox.
I think he's really shaped my mental game and really just my goals of where I want to go with baseball. And he talks about how you have to give to receive. So, I mean, just like putting in the work every day, doing all that stuff. I mean, that's been really big for me.
When you say giving in, putting in so you can receive, it's a amazing message. What is a week like for Tanner Evans when it comes to putting in, whether it's hours, time, places, traveling? I mean, it's not all just in your backyard. Either. It's not like
Yeah.
back in the day where it's like, okay, Dad and Tanner are out there just playing catch, and that's all you get. You're going here, going there, going everywhere. What's it like for a week for Tanner Evans?
Yeah. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, we have lifting for Millard North in the mornings. And then I go to school till about 11:30. And then after that, me and Colin Driffel go and hit out at the field. And then after that, I go eat lunch. And then I go to Loyalty to get my speed work and then extra like lifting and power stuff that I didn't get in the morning. And then after that, I hit with my dad and I do infield well, I forgot. Infield, I do right after I hit with Colin. So with my
Okay.
dad, he comes during his lunch break.
And it just keeps adding up and reps upon reps. When you look at all these reps, how do you contain yourself to not get burnt out? What's Tanner's even kill thing to keep you where you're still constantly interested, and making them worthy reps, right? Because anybody can go for these reps just to get them done, but you're
Yeah.
looking to grow yourself.
Yeah, I think my goals really push me every single day, just getting up and getting the work in and not just doing it, but staying locked in throughout it all. And just thinking about where I want to be in 3 years and where I'm at now and all the work that needs to be done.
When you say locking in, I love that saying, but when is there like a book that you help yourself keep track? How are you keeping track that you are on track of where you want to be? And I say this because some people, it's a bad thing. I wish I was better that I wrote down goals. Do you have goals written down? Do you have things that can be measurable? Because I think, especially in the game of baseball, and you're not a pitcher, so you're not looking to just get your fastball to 97. You have a lot of technique that you're really trying to
Mhm.
work on. What are some of those things that can be gradable for yourself to say, hey, I'm on track to continue where I want to be, and I'm going to continue to get there?
Yep. So every night I have a journal and I have 5 goals in there. So every night before I go to bed, I write in my journal how I got better and how I got closer to those goals each day. So that kind of keeps me accountable of getting better and making improvements every single day leading up to the season or even where I want to be in 3 years.
You said a journal. Where did that come from, and how long have you been writing in it? How secure are you with it?
Yeah, so I actually started this off season, and as as like the senior leaders this year, we decided at Millard North that we're gonna make everybody journal about their goals each day. So that's kind of where that came from. And so far, I mean, I really like it, and I think it's really helped me.
What's some of the things that you guys are using to help each other off of those? Or is it something you might have a team get together, or you might be like, okay, hey, check in with so and so, check in with so and so, and that way you can compare and maybe you can provide the feedback for others. Because I think when you say something like a journal, you hope everybody understands what it means. But if no one's helping them guide through it, they could be just writing stuff that isn't even helping them, but they feel it is. So is there
hmm
anything that you guys are using for checks and balances to help the underclassmen?
Yeah, we talk about it every once in a while before our morning lifts, but I would say me and Colin really just push each other every day just to get better and hold each other accountable because we know like where we want to be at, and we just really hold each other accountable to those goals.
You, of course, make a decision and you become committed to Air Force. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to possibly serve this country, but also the opportunity to get this interview for you as well, because we're grateful for that. But when it comes to that decision, how do you remember coming to it? Who was the people that you first talked to? How did that conversation come to? And how important was distance to where you're playing and where home is to you?
Yeah, I think being on my visit, I really knew. I mean, so I was there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. On Saturday, I would say that's when I really knew that I wanted to come to Air Force. And then just coming home, talking to my family, and obviously they loved it too. So, I mean, yeah.
Did was distance a big thing for you, or was it more of just I know where I want to go?
Not really. I would say just looking for the best opportunity there was. So, yeah, distance didn't really have that big of a influence on my decision.
When it came to the schools that you were going to visit, did you have check mark boxes that you needed filled? Was there culture, atmosphere that you needed to feel? What was some of those things, if there was, for you? Not everybody has them, but some have some things like, I need the weight room to look like this. I got to be able to know that I got the opportunity. And maybe it's something that even a coach might have said to show how your pitcher is into their canvas of players.
Yeah, I would just say the opportunities and coaches just because obviously I want to go as far as I can playing baseball, play professionally. And I think the coach is really telling me that just like all the developmental stuff that can go into it, I think that really influenced my decision. And yeah,
No, that's huge. The culture of being able to develop and feel like it's genuine. What was the biggest thing that they said when you first get out there that's gonna have happen? Do you get to play summer ball where you want to, or do you have to start heading out there and start their workout? What's kind of that looking like? As you said, you're looking to make a run here at a championship in 2026. But there's still some summer stuff that you could do. You could still do perfect games. You could still do leagues. You could still do Legion ball with Miller. What's kind of that looking like for Tanner Evans?
Yeah, right now I'm kind of planning on doing Legion ball. I think just getting to spend time with my family and being home for the summer for probably the first time in my life will be fun, and just getting to enjoy my last summer here.
When you look back at these years, sacrifices happen, and some people don't see it as a sacrifice, right? You said this is your goal, these are your dreams. What's some of the things that you wish you would have took a little more advantage of these past couple years that, like you said, you're kind of realizing some things in your senior year, your first time home, some of those things are not normal. Those are sacrifices that you had to take every summer. You didn't get to go to the beach every summer just to go. And
Yeah.
your trips were a lot more of, where are we going to play baseball? Where are we going to look? And I think some people don't understand that about traveling and wanting to head to that goal. It's a lot of on the road.
Yeah, I think just cherishing the travel ball days. I mean, looking back, like those were some of the best times of my life, and just getting to travel with my family, with my friends, getting to go play baseball everywhere. I mean, I think I'm really gonna miss it, but I mean, just cherishing those times traveling during the summer, and yeah.
What's the legacy that you feel Tanner Evans and your class is going to leave at Millard North?
Hopefully, go out with a state championship, and I mean, I think the last time we won it was what, 2005, maybe before that, I want to say. So, I mean, I think that would be really big for Millard North, bringing home a state championship for the first time in a while.
What do you think is the biggest change that you guys have helped in the culture wise and have really changed to put Millard North back on the map for baseball?
Yeah, so I think it started this year, Bob just coming in and kind of changing like the expectations. Like, obviously before, we weren't Miller North wasn't a winning program, and I think him coming in and changing the expectations of, we need to win and we're supposed to win, and just working and living up to those expectations every single day, starting in the off season.
It's a journey that quickly becomes to the baseball side, where you never know when that last time is. If things don't work out for Tanner and you don't make it where you want to, which is not an option right now, it's the goal, it's what it is. But you still have to have outs, right? You still have to have things that you love. What's Tanner interested in? What are you going to study? What's some of the things like you got to have in your back pocket? I mean, you've obviously seen that with your dad, where he's always had to have something he can go back to and make it to where he has a livable situation.
Yeah, I think that was another really big thing of why I chose Air Force, and having that in my back pocket, that, I mean, if I don't get drafted, I can go and fly fighter jets. And
How did I know
I
that?
mean,
I
that was
knew that
just,
was coming. If there was
yep,
one thing that I was going to tell that I knew, because you said it earlier, and then I'm like, this dude, he's talked about how small he is this whole time, but the one thing he hasn't, put out there is being small is not so bad when you want to get into a fighter jet.
yep,
Being small,
yep.
that's
I
awesome, man.
mean, yeah, I just think that would be sweet just to have. I mean, that as a plan B is pretty crazy, and one of the big like pluses going to Air Force.
Man. Well, let's get you out of here on this of one, what's Tanner Evans' goals this year? Yes, we know state championship is always up there, but what's your goals? And then also, what is Air Force getting with Tanner Evans? What should the fans know if they were to check this out, or an agency?
Yeah, they're getting a kid that's going to go and play as hard as he can every single day, and really just play hard for his team. And obviously going and hitting for contact, working on my power right now. Hopefully that will come. But hitting for contact, using my speed, stealing, all that, and just playing good defense.
If there's a position that Tanner could play that's different than what you play now, what would it be and why?
I would
Have you ever
say
had like envy for another position?
I would say pitcher, honestly. I haven't pitched my whole life, but I kind of wish I would have gotten into that a little bit.
I mean, you see, especially with some of the swagger that you've been around. I mean, you've been around some of the top throwers in the state for year over year over year. Like when you look
Mhm.
back at your guys's, I mean, even your Tigers team, I mean, most of those kids are going to play college ball somewhere. It's not
Yeah.
like you were always, I mean, you've been playing with these athletes that have that same ambition. So you had pitchers that had the swagger, you had pitchers who knew what they were doing. I mean, Nick, I could tell you this right now. My son's catcher thumb is from Nick and his left-handed throwing at 8 years old. He seriously had to wear a brace on his thumb because his thumb hurt from that lefty arm of Nick Riggs, and he's been
Uh-huh.
in that heat his whole life, you know, and
Yeah.
I could see that swagger. Well, man, I appreciate your story. I hope that you had fun, but you know, we can't do this without athletes like yourself. One, I always like to wait until you make those big decisions, you know, because there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of impact that outside sources could have. How were you able to kind of separate that part? Because not all social media is good media. How have you been able to keep yourself, one, not really getting too involved in that side? Of course, you've seen some good writings, right? But
Mhm.
not being on that side. And who's been kind of guiding you through social media? Because I feel not all athletes have that contact.
Yeah, I would say my dad and him running like his own big social media account has really helped me like guide through that. So, yeah.
And how do you stay from reading everything that says Tanner?
Oh, yeah.
No, you're good.
I would say just not really like just kind of being myself and not really reading into any of that, and just kind of like making my decision not for social media or what other people are going to say, but more of like what's best for me.
Well, I greatly appreciate this opportunity, Tanner. We'll be watching you this spring coming up, and like you said, we'll catch some Legion ball. But remember, Tanner Evans, he's going to be out there for Air Force. He is committed from Millard North. Check him out. But also remember, check this out. You can find this series on Character Chronicles, Wired Access, All Access Granted. The StreamYard is brought to you by the Omaha Beef, and we appreciate everybody coming out, checking us out, and remember, if you learn something or you know someone that can learn something from this is for parents or for athletes. They all can use this help. These athletes are out here showing you a little bit of it, but they're really telling you what it takes more than it is showing by showing. They're explaining what it takes. So, Tanner, I appreciate you being vulnerable. I appreciate you sharing your story, and we'll be watching from a distance.
Thanks for having me out.
All right, and we'll see you guys later. Here's the outro with our show that I always do tomorrow. Join the Beef Huddle. We'll see you.
The standard is the standard. We set the standard.